all set? Okay. All right, good evening. I'd like to call the Edison Public Library Board meeting of March 8th to order. Let the minutes reflect that it is 7:02 PM. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As required by the Open Public Meetings Act of 1975, adequate notice of this scheduled meeting has been provided to the public by notices given to the Home News Tribune, Star Ledger, Sentinel, and Desi Talk, posted on the library bulletin boards and website, and given to the Township Clerk's office. Roll call, please.
Ms. Mead?
Here.
Ms. Kraus? Excused. Ms. O'Neill?
Here.
Ms.
Here.
Pam?
Here.
Mr. Di Pasquale?
Here.
Mr. Rivera?
Here.
Mr. Alcantara? Excused. Ms. Joyce Ship Freeman? Ms. Massey?
Here. All right, and then let everybody realize that Lisa and Ray are both excused absences. All right, so did everyone have the chance to review the minutes from February 8th? And if so, are there any questions or comments? All right, hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, any second?
January.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Mead?
Yes.
Ms. Kraus is excused. Ms. O'Neill?
Yes.
Ms. Pam?
Yes.
Mr. Di Pasquale?
Yes.
Mr. Rivera?
Yes.
Mr. Alcantara is excused. Ms. Massey?
Yes.
And Ms. Joyce Ship Freeman?
No, I'm sorry. There's no, our liaison does not have a vote.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
All right, so the minutes are approved. Okay, and then we did have a busy month. I attended several really excellent library programs. The Lunar New Year program, of course, at Maine. It was fabulous to see so many families out there, and Mayor Joshi was able to attend as well. I also attended the Black Artists event at North Branch, and the online program of Black History in New Jersey, presented by the Historical Society, not the Historical Society, the Metuchen Edison Historical Society. And I'd like to thank all of the staff members who really worked so hard to get those programs together. And just in case you didn't realize, today is International Women's History Day. And we're celebrating women's history this month. And the last thing I want to mention is that we really had a very productive meeting, Alan, Deborah, and myself, with Mayor Joshi last week. And I hope that we can meet on a regular basis just for check-in. And I do encourage all of the community members to stop by the library, get a library card, sign up for the library newsletter, and check the website for some great programs coming up. We'll be meeting after National Library Week, which will be April 3rd to the 9th. So I do hope that you check out the programs that are going to be available. And that's it. So let's move to the financial reports. Did everyone have a chance to review the financial reports? All right, do we have any questions on those reports?
No, but I would like to say I like some of the new reports that are coming out.
Yeah, it's very helpful that they're
Kudos-
separate.
Kudos to Alan and Deborah. I know you've been working very hard on it. So, and I think all looks pretty good.
We will be asking the board for, to have a finance committee this month so that administration can present to the finance committee the proposed 2022 permanent budget. Now that we have worked out the splits details with the township, we know what our numbers are, and we just need to plug it in. After that, we will be redoing the chart of accounts to more easily reflect, make it more transparent for the board to understand how monies are being allocated and spent. So we've gone a long way in about a year since we first started the conversation with the township about managing our own operations and expenditures. So we've gone a long way.
Yes, you have. And
Yeah,
we
you really have
appreciate it.
accomplished a lot.
Yes.
All right, Alan, ooh, real quick, have you had all the kinks worked out with Edmonds?
I'm sorry?
Have all the kinks with Edmonds been worked out?
No.
Okay.
Edmonds has been working this last month. Part of the problem was the original setup. We really weren't dealing with a year's budget. We were dealing with 3 months' budget from October through December, because the first 9 months was in the township's accounting system. So all the numbers that we plugged in weren't really a whole year's budget. It wasn't really anything got expended for a year. So we got the monies that we had in the bank, and in November, we got the last, like the allocation that the town gave us. And that, in essence, Edmonds looked at as our yearly allocation where it wasn't. So they've been working this last month and trying, if you look at that second page, which is what to me is the Edmonds balance sheet, that's what doesn't really match if you look at the numbers on the first sheet. So none of the numbers match, and that's what they've been working on. So got an email yesterday that they were in the test server and they think they figured it out. But I'm sorry to kind of tell them, once they figure that out, we get 2021 straightened out, they're going to have to redo 2022. So I didn't want to get them overexcited, but one step at a time. So it really is, it's that page 2, that balance sheet, that's really what, that and the bill list, obviously the most important, but this is the balance sheet that should actually reflect the monies we have in the bank, the encumbrances, et cetera. So that's what they're working on. That's the big project, which is why we still use the first balance sheet, which Tamina does, which comes out of Excel, and the third page, which also looks like Excel, the Edison budget. The income actually is reflected on the next report, which is the Edmonds. The income that we get for January and February, that's not a problem entering the system. And so those numbers are real, and they actually should match Tamina's Excel. So that's a long-winded say we're 80% there. But for our essentials of doing business, our operations and expenditures, for paying the bills, our money in the bank, that's all pretty clear. It's just that second balance sheet with Edmonds, that's not the way it needs to be at this point.
Thank you. Thank you. Are there any other questions about the financial? All right, hearing none, has everyone had a chance to look at the bill list? And are there any questions about the bill list?
I have a couple of questions.
Let me put my glasses on.
I know, I put mine on. Line 12, inspection of Clara Barton, what was that involved?
That's part of the annual, I know we went through this before with the inspection. It's a charge that they do Basically, they're supposed to come out on a monthly basis, ensure that the burglary and the alarm system is working correctly. So we
it's
pay that, they
alarm-
call it
it's alarm
inspection.
systems?
AFA manages our fire alarm and our burglar alarm.
Okay. And the temporary staff, how are we doing on that?
Basically, the temporary staff is really for one person on Sunday, one librarian, because until we hire some new librarians, we're one short. And we've had a couple of illnesses that we've had someone come in once a week. So they're really coming in like 4 hours on a Wednesday and 4 hours on a Sunday. That's it.
And how is it working on hiring somebody?
We have second interviews next week with our teen librarian. We had 3 excellent candidates. One of them dropped out. I think when her library found out she was looking for a job, they gave her a nice big promotion and a raise. So we have 2 candidates. Either one of them, I would say, are exceptional. They're very different in personalities, but if either one of them gets through our second interview, then we will make them an offer. So the second interviews are now, we ask them to come and make a presentation to see what they could do on the fly, similar to what we did with Deborah, with the supervisors when we went through that process. So we think it's a good way of seeing if a person can not only stand on their feet, but if we're bringing someone in and we expect them to be working at full speed really quickly, we want to make sure that they know what they're doing. So these 2 are 2 librarians that are well-known around the state for the work that they've done in teen services. So either one would be an exceptional candidate for us.
Okay, just one more question. The cleaning service, how are you liking the new cleaning service?
Oh, we've not really had any problem with the cleaning service.
Isn't this relatively new? Didn't you have problems and didn't we get a new one?
The township did the cleaning service contract. It started last May. And so that's AAA. We have 2 AAAs on the bill list. We have AAA, which are our plumbers, and AAA, both AAAs. At the beginning,
I'm sorry, I thought that we had gotten a new one or something, no?
no, last
okay,
May,
my mistake
and,
then.
you know, they're okay. I mean, at the beginning, they were very responsive. We had a couple of meetings, because you want to make sure everything gets done right and show them where things weren't done. But we have no complaints, and in fact, I reach out to purchasing to see what the automatic contract is, and when the township did the bidding for us, contracts, it's 1 year with 2 years of extension. So we'll come back to the board and recommend an extension for another year. They've not been any problem at all.
Okay, and the elevator contract, I know we have one with those and you've had some problems with the elevator. When is their contract up and are you thinking of putting that back out?
It's not our elevator contract, it's the township's. And over this past year, the township has used 3 different companies. One has changed name and was bought out by another company. So they are responsible for doing all the buildings in the township, not just us. So purchasing does that contract for all the buildings, and we're included in that.
It gets a little confusing sometimes with what we do and what the township does.
Yes, but that, I'm going to say, you sort of get used to it, or you kind of, these kind of big contracts that, I mean, the cleaning contract, they do for us. It's different than the township. But the elevator contract
It's a township
is for the township. It's the same elevator company that all the buildings use.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
I have a question.
Sure.
I know you talked about the AFA Protective Systems, but I see the two charges, one is inspection and one is burglar alarm. Is that, like, what's the difference between
The
those?
inspection is, they're supposed to come out every month and make sure everything works.
Right.
The other is the monitoring service.
Okay, okay, great.
So, you know, what's interesting is I should be getting, and nothing ever matches. So, you know, we should actually be getting 3 buildings inspections for the years. We didn't get them yet. And we should be getting these monitoring, and they're coming on different cycles. So it would be nice if we can get all of them on the same to start, the same to finish. That would be like, I mean, even with the optimum bills, the telephone bills, everything, nothing of the 3 buildings matches dates at all. So maybe moving forward, that could be something we can try to get equalized, just so that we get those bills and that's it, instead of you seeing them over and over the months. But the monitoring is not for a whole year, it's only for a couple of months.
Well, that would fit with your vision of one library.
One library, one bill.
One bill.
There you go.
So that 721 is not for the whole year, you're saying, for monitoring?
The,
Line 26.
Line 26.
Right?
The burglar alarm Clara Barton is only for 4 months.
Okay.
Alan, I have another question. I think you answered one in regards to how everything is being billed. So I only see Elizabethtown and Gas for Clara Barton and North Edison, right? And I don't see it for Maine.
I'm having trouble hearing you, Fiona.
Elizabethtown and Gas, I don't see a line item for Maine.
That's what I was saying, that
Okay,
nothing
good.
comes in at the same time.
Right, and that's what I said. I think you answered that question. And the
Yeah.
second question is for line 21, the South Plainfield Public Library.
One of our patrons lost a book, so we have to pay South Plainfield, and then the patron is paying us. And we also have an issue, the patron claims that the book went out again after they returned it. And so what we're doing is paying South Plainfield, so at least we can get part of this resolved. And then we will work with the patrons to see how we can do this once we get to look at the book.
Okay.
Usually a lot of that is done through that LMXAC Smart Pay. We don't see it if people do credit cards, but if anyone's doing any other transaction, it shows. So we have to pay them, and then we will try to get reimbursed from the patron.
Okay, and once again, this spelling error, sorry. L-O-A-S-T. It says lost damaged book.
Well, I know it says lost, damaged books. It really is damaged books.
No, it says lost, L-O-A-S-T, not lost.
She's referring to
We
the
can
spelling.
change that.
Right. Oh, gee. Any
But you
other
know, Fiona,
questions?
last month you found 3 typos for me. So that's just great. All I need to do is rerun the PO to do that, so that's not a problem.
One other thing, Alan, regarding what Fiona had said about the Elizabethtown gas bill, doesn't the main library just use PSC&G gas?
No, we all use Elizabethtown gas.
I'm surprised because
PSC&G.
that area is usually just PSC&G gas and electric.
PSC&G does all our electric.
Yeah.
Elizabethtown Gas does all 3.
Even over there? I'm surprised. Okay, thank you.
It could have been
All
grandfathered in, or it could be because the other 2 buildings are on one company. Who knows how long this has been that way?
I know because I work right down the road and it's all PSC&G.
Are they,
Who
would we
knows?
save money if we switched?
Probably not. Do we ever?
All right, if there are no further questions or comments, do we have a motion to approve the bill list?
I'll make a motion to approve the bill list.
All right, do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Mead?
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes.
Ms. Pam,
Yes.
Mr. Di Pasquale,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Ms. Massey.
Yes,
Motion passes.
thank you.
Thank you.
And you know what I realized what I did not do, even though we all know, I did not introduce Ms. Joyce as our council liaison, right? So I just want to make sure that everybody realizes that Joyce Ship Freeman is our council liaison, starting this evening. So welcome,
Welcome.
welcome. Yes, all right, so sorry that I missed that before. Let's move on to the director's report.
I think Ms. Massey touched on some of these I was planning to talk about. We had, I think, a good meeting last Friday with the mayor. I hope this is something that we can do on a quarterly basis so that we're all on the same page. I hate to use that library phrase, but it works sometimes. And so he was very receptive, very supportive to whatever we want to do in the future. And I'm very pleased that we started off with a really good relationship with the mayor. I think that's going to benefit the library. I think we had a good opportunity at the State of the Township dinner. The mayor had the plans for the North Library on display and mentioned them several times in his speech. So they were there for people to see. We've now put up all the drawings that we had that were submitted as part of the bond application. They're now located in the children's room at the North Library for the public to see. So I think it's a good opportunity. Staff was really anxious to see some of them, so everyone gets to see those. Deborah mentioned some things, and so did I, about the Menlo Park Mall experience. I think it was overall positive. The negative was that even though we used a really good location, the center kiosk, we were really limited by how we could brand it and make it feel more like the library. So it still felt like it was an information booth with some library staff there. So we are looking at some options for the next time we do it. We'd like to be there for summer reading. But I think it was a good opportunity for us to start a relationship with Menlo Park Mall. We've been invited for 4 Tuesdays leading up to Easter to do story time each week. They're going to supply some craft stuff and some food for the kids, and they're going to do all the PR. And so I think it was a good way for us to get started with them. I also wanted to mention this is the first library conference that has been live in probably 2+ years in Portland, and it's a good one to start off with. The Public Library Association Conference, so I will be away. Deborah will be here. You know, these days one is never away. How far are we away by our phone? We're never away, you know. So I already have some setups for some vendors. We want to talk to some folks who do RFID, the bookmobile vendor, and a couple of others as we move forward in working on some of the strategic projects. We expect, I think, sometime this month that the final draft of the strategic plan will come to the Strategic Planning Committee for them for final review so they could look at the mission and vision. And then I think it will come hopefully to the board in April for discussion and approval. Alan and Leslie will be here, whatever, if it's April or May, to go through the plan and to answer any of the board's questions. We look forward in getting started on the plan. It's an ambitious plan, but I think It's going to be a change maker for the Edison Public Library and the Edison community. I think there'll be a different library 2 years from now. Definitely one that's much more community-centric and really is at the center of what the community is. So that's my report for this month, and I'm open, of course, to any questions of anything I wrote in my report or any other questions that you might have.
Any questions? Thank you. Any questions at all?
Just one quick question regarding North Edison Library. What are the plans for alternative? Are we closing or partially open for the public in North Edison Library? When,
That was one of the topics of discussion with the mayor. And you see, if you turned
That's a
around
good
to Pat,
question. That's a
you
very
could see
good
she's
question.
laughing. You know, I was coming from the idea that I think we're going to need to close. The mayor's coming from the idea of he doesn't think we have to close until we knock down walls. Since we're basically doing an outside shell for at least part of the thing, we may not have to close the building until we've got to go through the walls. So I think we're going to have to wait and see. I'm trying to be optimistic, but I've been in building projects before, and once they start anywhere, you kind of don't want to be around if they're, you know, putting things in the ground and hammering and doing all that stuff. So we are still doing the paperwork with the state. They pushed back the paperwork that was due for another month, so till April. So our next projects that we have to do for the state, we're waiting for an answer, is some of the resolutions. Last month, the board did the resolution that you accept the grant. We need to double check who needs to do does the town need to do a resolution on accepting the grant? The answer is yes, but the question is, does the library or the town have to verify that the money is in the bank? Because in our case, we're doing the matching funds. In most cases, it's coming from the township. So we're waiting for an answer for that, and there was a long questionnaire we had to fill out, and I'm working on that. So paperwork for everyone isn't due back now to April 12th. So I guess we're gonna, once we get that in, the question then becomes, where do we, the process that the state is telling us we can go. Can we now go out to bid? Do they have to authorize us to go out to bid? One of the things in the mayor that we resolved last week was that Ray is our point of contact for the construction project. So now at least I have someone on the mayor's staff and in the township directly to go to. So I'll be working with Ray to get those bid documents out. You know, the township purchasing is going to have to do that for this $3 million library, because there's so much stuff in purchasing law when you go out for a construction project. And we did some just renovations at Montville, and it was major just to get all those specs out and all that stuff. So I'm going to probably say specs aren't going to go out at least till May at the earliest. So, and usually it's 30 days, so you're looking to get that back June. You open the bids. Question becomes, do we have bids that will do the project for $3 million? If it's more than $3 million, we could reject all the bids. And we may have to go out to bid again, or we may decide to accept a bid, even though it's over that, if we're willing to do the difference. So all of the things with the construction, that will probably take 3 months. So I think we're all excited to start to break ground, but I think we have to put a true timeline. I originally said November. I think it might be closer to August or September for us to break ground, know exactly what the plans are. So we have, I have been looking at real estate Not that I'm a real estate magnate of any kind, but we've been looking at real estate. If we needed to do something on Oak Tree Road or Inman Avenue, there is no real estate with something open at this moment. The mall would be the only sizable space for us if we really had to close. So I think we're going to take one step at a time. Yes, Brian, I'm going to make sure we put some money in for leasing in this year's budget, so we have it. If we don't spend it, we didn't spend it. But there may actually be some money in the construction grant in the way it was written. I have to go and look at that again. That may have some money for leasing in it already. So I tend to do long answers, but I want to make sure they're complete and everyone gets a full picture of it without, it's kind of like,
Okay, but I have a question. What about the plans for the renovation? Have we've adjusted them, and remember we had the original ones and that was denied?
well, these are the ones that went out. This is the second round.
Yes, it is the second round, I am aware of that. So what are the plans for the renovation? Have we seen blueprints yet?
Well, you approved the blueprints.
Yeah, no, we did see them.
You approved
We
all
did
of
see them.
that before it went up. So I can send you the packet again. I know it's probably been a while that you saw the pictures, and it might be a good idea.
didn't see the
We'll send it out to all the board members in a day or two, and to Joyce as well. It's been a while. And Brian wasn't on the board then, and I think Anthony wasn't on the board then. So it would be good. We'll send out the whole package, exactly the similar one that's on the wall in the North Library. Send you out the whole package so that you have it to look at. So that's what's been approved, the second round. And yes, I couldn't send it out without board approval because you did a resolution to approve them to go.
All right, Alan? All right, I think what you have for the U.S. Passport Service to be qualified as an accepting agency, I think that's a great thing. You say the next step is to contact the regional headquarters in Philly. What is that next step? Like, what do you want from them?
That's the next step. We finally, after waiting 6 months, got a response from them, and actually, I had emailed them twice. I probably this is the last thing on their list to do. So we got a long, like 5-6 page list of instructions and packets that you have to read to see whether you could even qualify. And they kind of explain to you what it is, what the process is, what you would do as an acceptance agency. I actually would not be going into this if I hadn't already done this before. So when I was at Old Bridge, I was in charge of passport service. So not doing this so much as a way of earning some income for the library, but it's funny, we do get requests for passport service and notary service. And at one time, we did notary service as well. So we're going to be looking into investigating that as well. And these services, we believe, will draw traffic into the library for people who otherwise may not be library users in Edison. So, and one of the caveats with passport services, there are many private passport services. They only now want to initiate things that are government or public, like us. The only public one in town, I believe, in Edison for the whole town may be the post office. You can go through that expediting service at Federal Express, FedEx, which is done through a private agency, but there is the only public place is the post office. The libraries surrounding us that do it are East Brunswick, Old Bridge, and the post office, Passport likes libraries because we're open more than the post office is. And so you have
Well,
nights.
the post office is requiring you to have an appointment only. And they have very limited hours, because I go to that post office quite often, and they're not very cooperative.
So we'll see. I mean, we may not even be approved, but if we don't ask. And it actually is a little bit of a money-making. As an acceptance agency, you get, I think it's $26 a passport that goes to the library. So that actually offsets the cost of staff and et cetera, if you try to treat it as if it's a separate entity. If you're just doing a cost analysis, you do make quite a big profit. I know at Old Bridge, we made a lot of money. A lot.
Well, as you mentioned, I think it would be outstanding to have that for a service for the community. You know, it would be great.
I mean, that's how I view it, as a service to the community. You know, where else can you go? Everyone comes to the library. You know, where else? You know, like, the last place to look. We'll go to the library, maybe they know. And that's, you know, that's not a bad thing, but as we move into some other things like this, you know, I think you become a place of destination.
Okay, and what kind of employee do you need for that? You don't need a librarian, you just need to hire staff? Do they have to have experience in that, or?
They get, I'm going to say basic training like the Army. It's basically training. You don't need a librarian. Most of the libraries don't use a librarian. I happen to have been a librarian because I was the assistant director, and so passports reported to me, and so we had 3 staff members who just did passports, and a couple of other staff that were backups. And I did you know, if Rose went on a break and I was working that, I did the passport. So yes, you have to. You don't, like, say tomorrow, here, hi, you're now the passport. So you've got to go through kind of a vigorous training program to understand, but it's everyone is doing it with clerical staff. Or East Brunswick, they were basically doing it in their administrative offices. So you would come into the administrative office, like the secretary, and they would do it there. Old Bridge had a dedicated passport desk. Everyone does it a little different. Scotch Plains, basically, when I got to Old Bridge, the person who had done it for years and years and years retired. And so myself and another staff member went to 3 libraries that did it and sat with the staff, and they trained us. This was a long time ago. There weren't training videos, any of those kind of things. And we kind of sat and we learned from them, and we stayed there, you know, working with them for a couple of days.
So is
And
this a union position, or just a clerical
it's
position?
just another duty that you do.
So it'll be a union
Anyone
position?
who's the staff, any one of the staff should be able to do it once they're trained.
Okay, thank you.
Are you going to have a dedicated time frame for it, or is it'll be just any time of day?
I think we clearly, you have to, if you've got a problem with someone, it could take 15 minutes, it could take 5 minutes, it could take a half an hour. So what we've done with the click and collect, for example, is we started a half an hour after the library opens, and we stop at a half an hour before the library closes. And we probably would do something similar. So if you came in at 8:30, you could get it finished by 9 o'clock and be out of there. But we'll have to see. The first step is they've got to accept us.
Right.
And I was going to see if we didn't get accepted, I was going to speak to our beloved congressman and see if he could put in a good word for us, because it is a federal program.
And it would be good for Edison.
It's good for Edison.
Yeah, it would be.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to add anything? Was there anything else that you wanted to add, or?
Don't you think that was enough
I
for
think
tonight?
that was enough. Deborah, did you have anything you wanted to add? Okay. All right. So we'll move to committee reports. Now, Now, as you know, Facilities and Bookmobile did not meet this month. Hopefully, once we get things moving with North, we can move on to working on renovations at Maine. And of course, we're talking about the Bookmobile and trying to figure out what can be done, because it seems like it would be a good addition. But as I said, we have not met, and we will meet this month for finance. We did meet for materials review, and materials review is a committee that's put in place so that we have an opportunity to review any kind of concerns about any kind of book at all. So we figured it was a good idea for materials review to review the collection development policy, but we don't have that ready. Hopefully, we'll have that ready after the Policy and Bylaws Committee has a chance to review it as well. We'll hopefully have that in April. And the only one that met the personnel that does have some action to take is when we met to discuss the non-union staff. So we have that.
That is the
Here.
last page on the bottom of your packet. It was a separate page.
Yeah, it's a separate page. And I guess all I can really ask is if there are any general questions. If there's anything more specific, we will have to go into closed session.
Put my glasses on.
I think the resolution stands for itself, and I think we're ready to vote on it.
Excellent.
Madam President,
All right, would you like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
All
that we
right, do we
approve
have a
the
second that
resolution.
we approve this?
Second?
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Ms. Mead,
Yes.
Ms. O'Neill,
Yes?
Ms. Pam,
Yes.
Mr. Di Pasquale,
Yes.
Mr. Rivera,
Yes.
Ms. Massey.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Excellent. All right, and it looks like the only unfinished business we have, as far as I know, are completing our dates for September through December. And
Well-
hopefully, everyone had a chance to look at these dates.
The
Now,
only date that doesn't
the-
work
The
is,
September was the two options of September 21st or 22nd.
Right.
Now, basically, options are when this room is available. And I think I called the clerk's office today like 2,500 times, back and forth, back and forth. And there was one date, for example, September 15th was a school board, so I crossed that out. So September options were Wednesday, the 21st, or Thursday, the 22nd. The original, we were supposed to meet on October 11th, which is our original date, and that turns out to be a Jewish holiday. And so this room is available on either October 4th or October 13th. And for the November and December, it's the following Tuesday, November 15th and December 20th. So I leave that in your hands.
Alan, it's just some of the days don't work for me because of Board of Ed meetings. So I'm looking at the list now. December 20th, I have a board meeting at Edison High.
December 20th?
Mhm.
Okay,
And
so
then
I missed that one, because that was the Tuesday after, okay. If you would like, I can go back and look for some alternate dates with the township for December.
it's whatever you guys want to do, you know.
I think that's a good idea. That's a good idea.
I mean, we are set basically through August.
Yes,
So if we revisit this, if it's everyone's pleasure next month, we'll revisit this. I'll double, triple check the dates with the school board. I had done the 15th, but I did not do the others, and I'll check the other twos and make sure. I was almost, well, if they gave us this room, we knew we didn't have any council meetings. or anyone, obviously, because they would not have let us have the room if that. But I have to now keep remembering to look at the Board of Ed. And we'll revisit this next month. I
All right,
don't think
that
it's
makes sense. We
crisis
have-
of
we
of
have
anything
time.
if we don't have it.
That on hold.
Yeah, we'll put this on hold. So the only date in question is the December date, and then just to figure out which one works best in September,
Right,
and the October date.
right, and
Because I think there was something on October 4th.
October 4th was okay. And I could send this out, what's October 4th?
No, I
Oh,
think
Yom
October
Kippur.
4th.
That's why October 4th is no good.
No,
So
That's
October
why
13th
nobody was
so
using this
October-
room.
So October 13th would be good.
October 13th would be a possibility for October.
I have a board meeting, but
Brian has board meeting
you guys could do what you need to do.
on the 13th. Okay,
on the 13th, you have a board meeting. Okay.
all right, so I'll go back, work, so the September 21 or 22, those two seem to be an option with everyone at this point, so I'll leave those on for next month.
Right.
We need to find a new date for October.
And we have to make
I
sure that
mean-
we have to find a new date for October. I'm not sure whether October 11th is completely out. I'm not
Well-
sure.
Yeah, it's Columbus Day. No, Monday they celebrate it.
Yeah,
Monday's
they-
Colum-
They still
It wouldn't be-
celebrate it?
Tuesday, it's Jewish holiday.
Oh, it's a
That was the original, there's Jewish holiday on the 11th and the 18th. That's the date that Lisa originally pointed out to us that I had forgotten.
Right, and then I don't know whether she got back and said that that would be okay, but we can check.
Okay,
check, yeah.
we'll go back again.
All
We'll
right,
play calendar tag.
all right,
This
so
is cool.
we'll put this on hold for now.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Is there any other unfinished business that anyone can think of? Right, is there any new business?
I think we're good.
I think we're good. Are there any announcements?
If I could just, before you leave, Dominic brought us a copy of the union contract. And so if I could get Miss Massey, Miss O'Neill, Lisa, I'll have to get next time to sign on behalf of the board or the Personnel Committee. This way I get at least some of the signatures started.
Excellent. All right, and then public comment, sorry, excuse me. Yes. Do we have, can we go into? Yes, of course, so let's.
Would you rather come here? Whatever easier for you.
Testing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay, please also state your name, so we know who's talking, in case anybody doesn't
Council
really know
Vice
you.
President
I
Joyce
know
Shipp
everyone
Freeman.
knows you.
All right?
we have your
At
address,
all.
please?
And I like,
I'm sorry, can we
everybody
have your
can know
address?
that Sam Josie, Mayor Sam Josie was a liaison as I sat there on the board with him. So the whole library thing and the enlargement of the library, we're connected to it. And he did a whole presentation and everything while I was council president. So very connected. So I went to the library and I was this time I was on the north side. Well, before I get inside the library, I'm on the outside of the library and I see all this junk and like garbage around the stuff there. So immediately I called back to the place, but I'm like, didn't the people in the library see that there was junk all outside the library? See, we're trying to keep Edison beautiful. So if people from the library can notice when there's a whole bunch of, stuff out there by the cans and stuff, 'cause I took pictures of it. And I came inside and I told some of the librarians at the desk or whatever, because I was disappointed with that. Because that's how libraries are supposed to look. And I do also remember discussing that, that I myself personally, I was not too happy with the presentations that we did during Black History Month. And we discussed it and we said that we would try to do better in doing those things. And in my travels, what I found out was that other libraries do this since 1990, that they have a National African American Reading. And it's by the National Council of Teachers of English. So since 1990, they have been doing a reading. But my other disappointment is that I don't believe we have enough African American books to offer, because I went from library to library, and I do not see enough representation for us to actually have a read-in. And I want you also to know that I will be looking around the libraries also because this is Women's History Month. So I tend to look other places. I belong to like 2 different book clubs, one for retired NJEA and one from a sister-to-sister book club. So libraries, and reading and stuff, that's still my interest, and I want the place to look nice. And then also they were discussing that the shrubbery and the stuff around the library, do the Friends of the Library still do that or not?
No.
So if it's not an Eagle Scout or anybody, somebody else has to do the planting and do the flowers and stuff around the library?
Are we talking about the North Library?
No, I'm talking about all 3 libraries. One thing about me, I'm for everything. I don't just stipulate, one little thing.
The North Library is still, the front of the library is still maintained, as far as we know, by the Garden Club. They also last year did some planting at Clara Barton for us as well, as a thank you, because we let them use the space, come and, use the meeting room. But no one, they have no attachment to the main library. And so the main libraries needs to have, it's part of what we hope to do with the renovation, the outside, to also have a landscaper come and do the main library both on Plainfield Avenue and in the back of the library. It definitely needs a lot of work. But if I could just go back one sentence, in regards to the garbage at North, is it those big bins, the ones
Yes.
that collect the clothing?
Yes. But not the ones that collect the clothing, the other ones that sit on the side that have paper.
Well,
It's just paper on the ground. It's a whole bunch of like cardboard paper.
I'll take a look, because what's been happening at all 3 libraries, and we've been trying to work with the town, is to get those removed. Because they were supposed to, those collection bins were supposed to be removed, and there's stickers on them that the town had put on. What we're hoping that we can figure out who owns them, because we understand that they're no longer supposed to be on township property.
Well, I've been working on them. I'm the one who started getting rid of those because I couldn't stand them over
Oh,
there by
good, we
my
need to
house
work together on
at all.
that.
Yes, and with those, you have to, just keep telling them over and over again. So I just want to make sure everybody has AARI, the National Council of English Teachers, and that we do have more Black books in our library, so that if I wanted to do a report or something, I would be able to do that. And you told me at the garden person, but they're not exactly in charge. They just do it as a favor of fixing up the.
It's volunteer.
It's
Yeah,
all
totally
volunteer. Okay, and let's see.
And I think definitely the North Library, some of that, the entire outside that it exists now won't look the same, and there may not be as much garden when we build the extension. So I think that too will need to have someone come in and do a proper landscape sketch for the board to approve.
Yes.
So that it looks very professional. But I will tell you, Joyce, almost every day when I come to work at the main library, I shake my head and go, we got to rip out these bushes. We got to rip out these bushes. It really is not very attractive, but I figured let's wait until we do the whole building, so it's not just piecemeal. We do the outside without doing the inside, because we may do something outside. So that's why we didn't do anything at the main library. I totally agree with you.
Okay, no, because I'm just saying, because we as a council, working along with you guys, are trying our best to beautify Edison. That's our goal. We're trying to make everything look the correct way. And the reason why I'm screaming about different books and stuff, because I want stuff to be equitable across the board. And as we know, Edison now is like 70% minority. I guess the minority is the majority, but we need to have representation from everybody, because I always say that ignorance is the reason why most people fight and the most reason why they have discussions that are not correct. All right, so I'm a firm believer that if you supply people with information, that makes them that much better at all, so. And I think that was the last thing the last thing they discussed with that, with me asking those questions. No other question there. Oh, and one other last thing I wanted to ask, through the chair to Brian Revere. In the event, because sometimes, like the director said, sometimes you make so much noise that the library has to close down while they're building. I know we would like to, because, you know, while I was in school in Perth Amboy, we built the library while we were still going to school, all right? Now, in the event that we have to close that down, is there a way that they can develop some type of relationship with the school for students to go, like, I know you have the library there on the first floor, you know, and then after school hours. And I was just wondering if there's a relationship, because that could be good, that they can, you know, transition over to the school. That'll be not right, I mean, it's something to look at.
Well, I usually report to Dr. Bragan afterwards. It's something I'll bring to his attention and see if we could help out.
Okay, because I know most of the people in my
Amber,
high
when
school.
he did the guidance department, when he did the library, the building was still open, so
Yes,
I think you had the right idea of building the walls, and when the walls come down, that's when a decision needs to be made.
I hope we can do that. I really do hope that we can do it that way.
We've seen it when we were there.
yeah, we've seen that operation before,
Sure,
like probably
it-
you've seen it in different
happened.
other places building, but I just always like to have Plan B in case Plan A doesn't work. I always love a Plan B. And as far as your passports, Metuchen is like the easiest place ever. That's where I got my passport, just walked in. But this was pre-pandemic. So I don't, you know, right now with different people, because they got such a backlog of people, that it's probably 2 tons of people that way. But pre-pandemic, the Metuchen Library, not the library, I'm sorry, Metuchen Post Office was doing them, you know, all the time. It costs a lot of money, though. I don't know, but we get a percentage of all that money?
Yes, we
Okay.
get, I think it's $26 or $29 for every passport
Oh,
that
okay.
comes to the library, that would come to whoever the acceptance agency is.
Well,
Yeah,
I'm hoping that they accept this then. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment?
It
right.
looks like 2 staff members. Anything you'd like to say?
No? No,
She's
but
hiding
thank
in
you
the
for being
corner.
here. Thank
She's
you.
in the corner.
Thank you for being
Like in
here.
opposite corners.
Right. All right, so now we'll go back to announcements, if there are any announcements at all. I don't think so. We don't need a closed session. Do we have a motion to adjourn? All right, a second?
Second.
Sue, I think you wanted to second, did you?
Brian just
Brian did, excellent. All right, this meeting, all those in favor? All right, we don't need to have a
Aye.
roll call vote. All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much.